Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In this tutorial we're going to look at setting properties, bean properties from property files. And the reason I'm including this at this point in the series of videos is because we want to store database connection information in a property file. But I wanted to show you this in a non-database context so that you can see that this really has nothing intrinsically to do with databases. So I've got this application here, and it's got this robot class with a couple of properties that are set to default values, and we've got set methods for that, and we've got a speak method here, and this just displays the values of these properties, and that is being called from my main method. So if I run this program now, we just get some default values for those properties being output down here. Now I'm going to create a property file here, and I'll create a package to put it in. So I'll right click one of my existing packages, and I'll go to new package, and let's modify the name of this package to create our new package. I'll create a com.caveofprogramming.spring.props. Click finish, and I'm going to right click that and go to new file, and the file I'm going to give a name that ends in .properties. Let's call it JDBC.properties, and I'm calling it this because we're going to use the Java database connection stuff in subsequent tutorials, but at the moment we're not using JDBC, but I'll click finish there. So we've got this property file here, and let's just put some info in that, like let's say user equals root, and password equals let me in. And we could put other stuff in there, but that's enough for the moment, I think. So this is where ultimately we're going to store database connection information, and that the format of a Java properties file, you may know, is it just has stuff separated by equal signs like this usually. I think you can use other formats, but I'll stick with this one. And the important thing is that it should end in .properties by tradition. So I'm going to go to my beans.xml now, and I've got this context tab here because in namespaces I've got context ticked. So I'll go to the context tab and right click beans, and I'll go to insert context property hyphen placeholder, and this is what creates placeholders that are taken from our property file. And I need to give this a name somewhere. Let's see, so I'm going to save that and look at the source here. That doesn't help. So we've added this tag here. I'm actually trying to remember. Yeah, it's location actually. I was trying to remember where we actually fill in the location of the property file. So location can be as far as I know, it can be a relative file path or an absolute file path. And it can be a package name, and I'm going to use a package name here. So I'll select JDBC.properties, right click and go to copy qualified name, and then I'll go back to my my property placeholder tag here, and for location I'll paste in that qualified name. So most of it's right. We've got JDBC.properties, and that's in a props package in Spring, in Cave of Programming. But I want to delete everything before com, because all we need here is the package name, except we need to separate the package folders by slashes, and we need the file name at the end. And the thing is, this can be picked up from anywhere on the class path, and since the kind of project source folder or kind of the class file folder is on the class path, if I then specify the package subfolders, then it's going to find it relative to the class path. But this path is relative to the class path, relative to any location on the class path. Let's save that, and now I can use these values in my XML. So to do that, if I go to my beans.xml now, and I go to the source here, in fact I'm not defining the robot bean explicitly here, so I'm going to to do that. Let's go to context beans, and I'm going to go to insert bean element and insert my robot class here, robot, with an ID of robot. And let's, yeah, that's good actually. Let's just click browse there and browse to the correct class. So it's this one here, and save. And now if I look at the source, we've got this robot bean. And going back to the beans tab, I can insert properties for that. So let's go to beans, insert property element. And I've got a property called ID. And for value, I'm going to insert $, and then a curly parenthesis, like this, yeah. And in there, I'm going to insert the name of a property in my property file. So I've got user here, and I'm going to insert that. So let's save that, and then let's insert another one. So beans property, and I've got another one called speech, another property on robot, and for that I'm going to insert $, and curly parentheses, and in there I'm going to put password, and save that. And now if I run this program, we see down here that we've set the properties on that robot bean using values in the properties file. And if I look at the source, of course we've just filled in $brackets user and $brackets password, and that's taking those values from here. Another little refinement here is I might want to put JDBC.user and JDBC.password, because just to make sure that there are no conflicts with the properties that we're using here. And in my beans.xml, I can change that to JDBC.user and JDBC.password. And let's run that. So that works. Let's try one last thing here, because you might want to also set this stuff using annotations, and of course you can do that as well. So I've got component scanning turned on for robot, and I could set this to something like auto wired. Let's add the import for auto wired, and this one as well. And you know the routine by now. So if I set value here, and let's import the value annotation, and I'll put a value here for speech as well. Now I should be able to set JDBC user or whatever properties I've got in a property file for the values in these value annotations, and it should just work as before. Let's try copying this and this, and I'll get rid of the stuff from the XML because I just wanted to show you that, and save it all and run the program, and let's see. And again, it works perfectly well with annotations. So that's it for this tutorial, and we're going to move on next probably to configuring a data source. So quite exciting, and we're gradually moving towards doing some MVC web stuff, which we'll get onto sooner or later. So until next time, happy coding.